All right, so this is huge news here. It says Biden approval rating highest in almost a year. And so we are gearing up for the re-election. And so I've learned a lot about, re-elections for incumbent presidents, in my classes, in my upper division classes. And so basically the biggest indicator for whether or not a president wins is re-election specifically. Incumbency elections are far different from non-incumbency elections. So he's the incumbent this time. So basically, there's a huge incumbency advantage. And so what you need is a good economy. That's it. If the economy is good, you're gonna win re-election 99% of the time, basically. And so what it says is, President Biden's approval rating has hit its highest point in almost a year, according to a new NPR-PBS NewsHour-Marist poll, rising to 46%. Biden's approval rating following his second State of the Union address is the highest it's been since March 2022. The poll released Wednesday found. I'm not sure if the State of the Union had this effect. I know that political science says that State of the Union addresses differences are pretty marginal when it comes to approval ratings. But he's been doing Biden seems to have some pretty good political savvy. He was doing a lot of that, pinning the Social Security thing accurately. By the way, the sunset provision would impact Social Security and Medicare legislation. So that he's accurate in that. But that's just such a smart political savvy thing. I wish Bernie Sanders was more politically savvy. He's just super real, and so that's why he was able to win. But imagine if the dude had political savvy too. Damn, that would be crazy. It says he saw improvement among respondents across the political spectrum, with his approval among Democrats rising from 85% in January to 88%, and his approval among independents rising from 32 to 36. So he's seeing marginal growth in all of them, basically, even amongst Republicans. His approval rating among Republicans also ticked up from 13% last month to 15% in February, the highest level on the poll during his presidency. Another thing that I've learned in my classes basically is that the biggest thing for an incumbent president's election is actually the economy in the final year, not the previous 3 years. So the economy under Trump was doing really well the first 3 years, but it went to complete ass cheeks in the last year because of COVID, right? And he got voted out because of it. And he still almost won. He barely lost. That's the incumbency advantage right there. The incumbency advantage is effing huge, man. It's massive, dude. But it was overcome because of his trash, the trash economy at the time. And it's the last year of the economy that matters the most. So here, when we look at this graph here, you can see it was 39, February 22. Really, the big hits, have been inflation, and then, the situation with Afghanistan really hurt him. That really hurt him. The media just all came out against him. All of the elites of both sides of the party came out against him. But now it's up to 46, which 46 is a solid approval rating. The poll also found rising confidence among Democrats ahead of Biden's expected 2024 re-election bid. Democratic support for Biden, I think, is less than typical Democratic support for him. Half of Democratic respondents said the party has its best chance to hold on to the White House with Biden as nominee, while 45% of Democratic-leaning independents said the party will have a better chance with another candidate. In November, 54% of Dems and Democratic-leaning independents said they preferred another candidate. Biden saw the most significant improvement from white respondents without college degrees, those who make less than $50K per year, those under 45 years old, and women who live in small cities or suburbs. So, that should be a good dent into Trump support, I think. And it says on the Republican side, the poll found that a majority of Republican and GOP-leaning independents, 54%, said their party would have a better chance of winning in 2024. Someone other than former President Trump is the nominee. So honestly, the big question here is, so when it comes to his re-election, the odds are looking really good, which is actually really bizarre. One thing I should mention about the economy thing is it's more about the people's interpretation of how the economy is, because there's not necessarily a clear total picture of how the economy is. And so we're still in a really bad inflationary situation. I don't know what the previous CPI report was. I think it was 6.5 or something like that year on year. But it's actually the people's interpretation of the economy. So one super interesting one was, under George H.W. Bush, right, W's dad, there was a recession. It was a brief recession, but it bounced back, and the economy was doing fine again. But for some reason, Americans were way convinced that the economy was way worse than it actually was. And so Bill Clinton was able to seize on that, and he was able to beat him. But the economic interpretations of the Americans of how it was doing was way worse than how it actually was. It was weird. So it's that can happen. And I think the typical indicator used, the consumer confidence index or rate or whatever it is. And Trump and Obama both broke it, actually. Obama broke it because even if it was bad, but you liked Obama, you were gonna say fuck it, I like Obama. If you didn't like him and the economy was good, you're gonna say F it, because there's just so much polarization. Because he was the first black president, right? So there's a bunch of racists that are gonna be against him no matter what, and there's gonna be a bunch of anti-racists who are gonna be pro him no matter what. Same thing with Trump; it was the same exact thing. So it didn't match consumer confidence, the rating. So Biden is bringing us back to normal trends again. The weird thing about Biden as a candidate is like he's so hard to attack for some reason. Like he's really difficult to take down. It's like no matter what you hit him with, he just absorbs it and he's just fine. He's like Majin Buu or something. It's like you just can't get him. Like you can't finish him off. It's so weird. And so no matter how many cognitive mistakes he makes, no matter how many times he falls, no matter how much stupid shit he says, no matter how much stuff comes out about him from the past, it doesn't matter. Nothing will stick. Nothing will stick. So he's just this really bizarre candidate. But again, it's the bluster response. We got 4 years of just insanity of Trump, and now Biden for 8 years is the result. And more Republican L's in Congress too, because they widely got destroyed in the House elections, in the 2022 midterm elections as well. So what we see here with Biden basically is, man, he's just he's in a good position. I would say he's more likely than not to win. On the Republican side, Trump, he will win if it's a factional race. If it's splintered 16, 17 candidates, he's going to get the dub easily. If it's a 1v1 with DeSantis, he's going to lose to DeSantis because they'll all coalesce around DeSantis to beat him. So, but his factional support is just too high, so he can parlay that and easily get the dub. So it depends on what the outcome of that is. Who's a better opponent for Biden? Oof, I don't know. It's risky to say Trump, but I'm leaning towards Trump because Biden doesn't do well if you're voting for Biden. Biden does well when you're voting against someone else, because nobody votes for Biden because they're like, yeah, I like Joe Biden. Nobody on planet Earth thinks that. No one. But it's like he's great because, like I told you, no attacks work on him. It's perfect to be like the lesser of two evils guy. So if it's a referendum on Trump again, which even if Trump didn't run, it probably still would be, just because the lasting effects would be so large. But if it's a referendum on Trump, Biden's easily winning, dude, for sure. Nobody wants to go back to those like crazy Trump days where everything was just insane. But how much is the economy going to improve in this final year of his presidency, of his first term? How much is it going to improve? If it improves significantly, he is in really good position. I had seen gas prices were tumbling, but they went back up a little bit, and so they've kind of leveled at like $5 a gallon, at least where I'm at. It's going to differ based on where you're at, the inflationary rate. But I'm assuming the CPI might be a little bit higher, but I haven't been paying too much attention to other goods. But, it's just like, we'll have to see how the inflation goes. Inflation is just one of the worst things you can have politically, which makes it crazy that Biden is able to win still. But Biden is still able to be up to this point, because I think a lot of more people will know that it's not him, but it's just Trump. It's the Trump factor. The fact that it's just Trump is there just in the background, he's going to run. That just it just crosses it out. It cancels it out. It's like dividing a 2x over x. You know what I mean? It's just 2, right? If your x's cancel out, it's like that kind of thing, right? So it's just a situation where that just cancels it out. But super fascinating.